For healthy niños. Why do we want clean buses?
For healthy niños.
What do we want?
Clean buses.
When do we want them?
Now.
Woo! So, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning. We're still in the morning. How are you today?
Good.
My name is Ramon Palencia Calvo. I'm the Deputy Director of the Maryland Legal Conservation Borders. I'm also the Director of our CHISPA program. This is a key program of the Maryland Legal Conservation Borders that works with Latino communities to ensure we have a strong voice to protect our climate, our health, the health of our communities. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to be here to join you in rallying for electric school buses and trucks. We have a lot of great speakers to talk about legislation that will help us get those vehicles. That's right. To protect our children and communities. Yay. At CHISPA, Maryland, we started working on electrification of school buses 5 years ago, working with parents, students, other incredible organizations. Some of them are here today: Sierra Club, Union of Concerned Scientists, Labor Network for Sustainability, Earth Justice, Chesapeake Climate Action Network, and many others. Because we all understood the devastating health consequences of diesel pollution and diesel school buses. Every day in Maryland, more than 650,000 students go to school riding one of those polluting diesel buses. And approximately in Maryland, we have 7,200 dirty school buses, dirty diesel school buses. Every time a student takes a diesel bus to school, they're forced to breathe pollutants. They're forced to breathe diesel emissions up to 15 times more than another kid riding in a car in front of them. Diesel emissions increase the lifetime risk of cancer, asthma, heart disease, and have negative impacts in children's ability to reach their full potential. Every time a school district buys a diesel bus, they're locking in the technology for more than 12 years, at least 12 years. So that means that a kid that is too young to go to school today will end up riding that bus on their way to graduation in 12 years. There is no need to continue polluting our children and communities. Clean electric school buses and trucks are proven technologies with lots of options available, and above all, no tailpipe emissions. We need to accelerate the transition to electric buses in an equitable manner for the health of our children, for the communities that host the diesel buses, and all the communities that are overburdened by pollution in Maryland. The Electric School Bus Pilot Program and the Zero Emissions Truck Act will accelerate the deployment of electric school buses and electric trucks to protect the health of our children, our communities, and the climate. And now it is an honor to introduce a true champion. He's been championing electric school buses for many years. Delegate, pressure is on you.
Thank you everyone so much for coming out. I want to just rewind a little bit. Everybody here okay? Yes. I want to just rewind a little bit. Been working with LCB for 5 years now on versions of this bill. Now we have the bill locked in. This bill passed out of the House last year and went over to the Senate. Now we have the bill both in the House and the Senate. So I'm super excited about getting this bill out. And I think that when you look at school buses and you look at change in policy, really what it comes down to is one generation doing the same thing the previous generation did, without really stopping for a minute to think about it. You stop for a minute to think about it, you realize how absolutely insane what we do is. We take our most precious, our kids, our niños, and what do? We put them on school buses that the inside of the bus in particular is flooded with all kinds of diesel pollutants. And you wonder why we have to spend over $27 billion a year in this state alone on public health issues to deal with kids with bronchial issues. $27 billion to help kids that have asthma. And why do they have asthma? It's really not a big secret why they have asthma. So this is something we have to do, that we have to push forward with. I'm super excited about where we are. And one thing that Ramon said, my beautiful partner, Ramon, I don't know where you are, Ramon. To do the math, to take the math even a little bit further, those children that are not even born yet, nor will they be born, for every diesel school bus that's purchased today, they may be on that diesel school bus. So the sooner we get away from them, the better for everybody. And when can we do this? Right, we can do it right now. Ahorita now. So I do want to introduce. Give me 1 second. I'll give them 1 second. So I did want to introduce the chair of the Environment and Transportation Committee, Kumar Barve, who's been helping me for the last several years figure out how to get this bill through, who is leading on this issue. And I know that Delegate Love is going to come up and say some words about her bill as well, which I'm excited about. So with all due, please, my chair, Kumar Barve.
Thank you very much. So this is very important work for kids and for people generally. I do want to recognize a couple of other members of my committee, the Vice Chair, Dana Stein, and Delegate Sheila Ruth from Baltimore County. And Delegate Foley from Montgomery County. Dave and you all have been terrific leaders on this issue for many, many years, and I just want to remind you that 75% of the pollution we breathe comes out of the tailpipe of a vehicle, and the worst pollution is diesel pollution, and the worst people to inhale it are our children and grandchildren. And then one other thing I want to point out to you, one occasional problem with school buses is rollover, and the great thing about electric school buses is they have a lower center of gravity, they're much less likely to roll over, and that's another health reason to support David Fraser Hidalgo's bill. And again, I want to thank all of you for being here, because we literally can do none of this without you. Thank you so much. Let's take this to victory. And let me introduce... Never mind.
Hello everyone, it's my great pleasure to introduce Delegate Sarah Love, who is the sponsor of the Zero-Emission Truck Act. I want to thank you so much for your leadership. Unfortunately, Senator Young is still in the floor session, but he's also sponsoring this bill, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay, and thank you to the chair of the Environment and Transportation Committee for being such a leader on this issue, as well as Subcommittee Chair Fraser Hidalgo. He has really been an incredible champion, and actually is the one that introduced me to this bill. So I am very honored to be the sponsor of this bill. This bill would require the Maryland Department of Environment to create new requirements to encourage truck manufacturers to move towards zero-emission heavy-duty transport vehicles. Electrified trucks and school buses will help Marylanders breathe cleaner air and tackle the pollution crisis. One of the things that's great about this is that it is being done across the country. California adopted these standards, and we're seeing it up and down the eastern seaboard. This is going to reduce the risk of adverse health effects. It's going to, as I said, improve air quality, reduce greenhouse gases, and contribute to climate change. So I'm really excited about this bill. We have the hearing this week, and hopefully we'll get a favorable report. Thank you.
And now it is a great pleasure for me to introduce Elizabeth Bam from the Labor Network for Sustainability. She's been a true champion and partner on electrification of buses, trucks, and vehicles in general. Thanks.
Good morning, and thank you, Ramon, and all of my esteemed representatives in the Maryland legislature. So I'm speaking on behalf of the Labor Network for Sustainability, which strives to build a labor climate movement to create a future that is ecologically sustainable and economically just. We support these bills because of the common sense approach to solving a problem. I won't say anything more because the previous speakers spoke a lot about the harms. And just let me say that the notion that we know we're hurting our children and we have a solution. Not acting would just be an alarming statement. And so I applaud so far the House and hopefully the Senate. We continue to be leaders in the climate fight. Let's get this done. But Maryland should also act as a leader in ensuring that the transition to a climate-safe economy is both successful and just. We must develop appropriate training for school bus operators and mechanics on the new technology. And we must involve workers through their unions in the process of developing that training. The school bus bill includes provisions for training of operators and maintenance employees, and we can take this new technology and become a leader around the country in a whole new profession, a career training developed right here in the state. But please, let's all involve our unions in that process, because it's the workers who know what they need to be trained on the new technology. And finally, let's not forget about the decisions we make buying these buses. We can make the transition a race to the top for workers and communities. I see the Montgomery County school bus right over there. That's union built in the United States of America. So let's make sure we make Maryland a leader on climate and public health, but also on economic justice. Pass these bills and continue to work on policies that ensure a just transition that will also create green jobs and make sure that those green jobs are good jobs.
Let me welcome our next speaker from Prince George's County, representing the Board of Education, Pamela Strother.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pamela Strother, and I'm the District 3 Board of Education representative for the Prince George's County Public Schools. I'm here because many years ago, Ramon and Chispa came to Mount Rainier Elementary, where my then probably second grader, who's now sixth grader, who also has asthma, he came and he told us that electric school buses can happen. And I just want to thank all of you for your vision to get us there. Fast forward a couple years later, Candida Garcia and her activism at PGCPS, her family and all these wonderful students came to the Board of Education, advocated along with the Sierra Club, Prince George's County parents, and said it's time for clean energy schools, it's time for PGCPS to lead. So for the last year, we have had this incredible work group, Climate Change Action Plan work group. We had experts on the work group. We had Delegate Mary Lehman, colleague who's totally committed to climate action. Elizabeth came and talked to us about the importance of our labor partners in the school system. And we are now about to pass a comprehensive climate change action plan for the Prince George's County Public Schools. And I just want to say that standing up for this legislation being here and getting started will impact our school system immediately. We have many urban edge communities. We have diesel emissions, and this is the beginning of how the entire county can respond. And we are so proud that our county council adopted a county climate commission last year that is a couple months ahead of the school system so that we can be in true alignment at the county, state, and regional and federal level. So I'm so proud to represent a public school system here today, because I know that all of us, all 24 of us, should lead in the state of Maryland. So thank you all so much.
As you already referenced to Candida, one of our parent leaders. Candida, please take the stage. Woo!
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Cándida García, soy la promotora de justicia de medioambiental de Chispa, Maryland. Estoy orgullosa de estar aquí apoyando al medio ambiente y a la salud de nuestras comunidades y nuestras familias.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Candida Garcia, and I am an environmental justice advocate for Chispa, Maryland. I am proud to be here today supporting the environment and the health of our community and families. I became involved in the environment advocacy throughout Chispa, Maryland, by participating in the Clean Buses for Healthy Kids campaign. Chispa, Maryland is an environmental program that works with Latino communities to improve environmental and health conditions in our communities.
Yo me involucré en abogacía medioambiental a través de Chispa, Maryland, participando en la campaña de autobuses limpios para niños sanos. Chispa, Maryland es un programa medioambiental que trabaja en las comunidades latinas con el fin de mejorar las condiciones medioambientales y la salud de nuestras comunidades. Nuestra campaña de autobuses limpios lucha por el mejorar el aire que respiramos para nuestros hijos, demandando que los autobuses escolares diéseles que tanto contaminan sean reemplazados por autobuses eléctricos de zero emission.
Our Clean Bus campaign fights to improve the air in our children's breath, demanding that pollution diesel school buses be replaced with zero-emission electric buses.
Y ahora tenemos la oportunidad de lograrlo en todo el estado, gracias a la legislación introducida este año por el delegado David Fraser Hidalgo.
And now we can have a chance to do it statewide, thanks to a legislation introduced by this year by Delegate David Fraser Hidalgo.
Hoy estoy aquí para apoyar el acta de autobuses escolares eléctricos, puesto que beneficiará la salud de nuestros hijos.
I am here today to support the electric bus, school bus, as it will benefit the health of our children.
En Maryland, si eres una persona de color, lo más probable es que el aire que respiras esté más contaminado que el aire que respira una persona blanca. Nuestra comunidad es tan desproporcionada, expuestas a la contaminación del aire proveniente del uso del diésel y otros combustibles fósiles que dañan nuestro clima.
In Maryland, if you are a person of color, chances are the air you breathe is more polluted than the air a white person breathes. Our communities are disproportionately exposed to air pollution from the use of diesel and other fossil fuels that harm our climate.
Yo soy madre de 4 hijos y uno de ellos sufre de asma. Cuando le da un ataque de asma, yo tengo que llevarlo al hospital, comprarle medicina y él se tiene que quedar en casa debido a esos problemas respiratorios. Esto es algo muy común en las familias latinas, las cuales sufren de asma de manera desproporcionada.
I am the mother of 4 children, and one of them suffers from asthma. When he has an asthma attack, I have to take him to the hospital, buy him medicine, and he has to stay home because of this breathing problem. This is a very common among Latino families who disproportionately suffer from asthma.
Esto causa que nuestros hijos pierdan días de ir a la escuela y nosotros los padres perdemos de trabajar, puesto que necesitamos llevarlos al hospital, hacerles seguimiento de tratamiento médico, comprar medicina y mucho más.
This causes our children to miss days of going to school, and we parents lose work, since we need to take them to the hospital, follow up on their medical treatment, buy medicine, and much more.
Muchos niños latinos faltan a la escuela debido a problemas respiratorios como el asma o el bronquitis. Eso afecta su aprendizaje y también los recursos de la escuela.
Many Latino children miss school due to respiratory problems such as asthma or bronchitis that affect their learning and also the resource of the school.
Necesitamos y demandamos aire limpio para mejorar la salud de nuestros niños y la calidad de vida de nuestras comunidades. No hay necesidad de continuar contaminando el aire que respiramos. Necesitamos autobuses escolares eléctricos ahora.
We need and demand clean air to improve the health of our children and the quality of life in our communities. There is no need to continue polluting the air we breathe. We need electric buses now. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that. I really enjoyed hearing about that. I also wanted to point out, if you look over there, that's a Hyattsville's all-electric trash truck. You can talk to Mike for more information about that, which is awesome. The technology is here. We need to deploy them today. It is my great pleasure to next turn it over to Surya Ben, who is the Executive Director of Policy Foundation Maryland and the Legislative Director of Voices Maryland. Thank you, Surya.
Thank you, everybody. Move the mic up. David, you've been a great warrior. First thing, I want to say, this is briefly off the message. I want to thank you for introducing that other bill, the Climate Crisis and Environmental Justice Bill, who I support so greatly. So thank you for that as well. My name is Surya Ben. I'm a statewide advocate. I represent the Policy Foundation of Maryland, Voices Maryland, at Harford County. Today I will discuss diesel pollution in southern Hartford and how industrialization, diesel trucks are destroying our area, as well as school buses are affecting our environment and creating unsafe traffic patterns and harming our historical black district. 24 hours a day, 18-wheelers powered by diesel spewing massive air pollution infect the Perryman Peninsula in our area. These diesel-powered trucks carry Clorox, other hazardous items, running right in the middle of a blue-collar district. From 6 a.m., 9 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., truck congestion is very high, and these diesel-powered trucks break down in this very small area. There are large backups for multi-semi tractor trailers arriving, warehouse shift changes, which seem to be continuously going on. This increased traffic makes trips in and out of the 5 surrounding communities in my district unsafe, filled with diesel pollution. Add in all the congestion, diesel-powered school buses that are filled with our children. So you got to understand, this is a very awful situation. Diesel exhaust is bad for everyone's health. So imagine our child's health. Exposure to diesel engine exhaust causes cancer, increases the risk of heart attack, stroke, cardiovascular disease, and exacerbates asthma, which can lead to low weight. Children are especially vulnerable to air pollution because they breathe, on average, 50% more air per pound of body weight than adults, and their lungs are still in the developmental phase. Some school systems in Maryland have older diesel school buses, and some of the case of my county outsource it to private companies who may not always provide an environmentally high standard or even not be held accountable for one through their contracts. School children that ride these older diesel school buses that lack pollution controls have an increased likelihood of developing different lifelong negative impacts such as environmental asthma, cancer, and other breathing issues due to diesel particulate matter in their lifetime. Studies have shown that diesel exhaust gets caught in the school bus cabin, increasing children's exposure, which means that although child's commutes comprises a fraction of the child's day, the bus ride can represent a high fraction of the child's daily diesel pollution exposure. In my District 34, we have many environmental issues brought about through industrialization, excessive diesel trucks, especially in the Perryman Peninsula, in the Avenue Woods area, that are damaging our environment. Some days, seeing the rising gusts of diesel smoke come out of the tailpipes of the school buses or the 18-wheelers that are near the school children really disturb me. Because being an educator, I always have concern for the future of Maryland. We need healthy kids to be able to focus on the future. But to see this excessive pollution, there's just no way many of them will. This is why HB 696, SB 948 are so important to my organization. But oftentimes in Annapolis, I'm wrapping it up, I'm sorry, speaking about the health of our society does not always move policy forward. So we want to talk about the cost. This program would ensure that no additional capital, administrative, or operational costs are to the school systems. In fact, implementing the electric bus program lowers the operating cost significantly. At 82 cents per mile currently operating on diesel, it would lower the cost down to 19 cents per mile. These bills open electric bus programs access to the rest of Maryland school districts, which would be very important to my district, which will protect our children from harmful diesel bus pollution impact and move towards zero emissions to help avert Maryland's climate crisis, which will move us forward. This is a win-win proposition for Maryland students and improve the environment for all Marylanders. This is why we at the Policy Foundation for Maryland and Voices Maryland support it so much. And we are asking that the General Assembly do as well. We must do more, and we don't have any time to wait. I thank you again, David, for all of what you do. Sarah Love, I'm sure she's not here anymore. I also thank her as well for what she's doing with Clean Trucks, and thank you for your time and listening to me.
Thank you. Let me also recognize now Delegate Tertullian that is joining us today. And before we wrap it up, we heard from our community members, leaders, other advocates. It's time to electrify diesel buses and diesel trucks. But before we go, let's just do some chanting, and I invite you all over to take some pictures before we wrap it up. What do we want?
Clean buses.
¿Qué queremos? Buses eléctricos. When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Clean buses.
When do we want them?
Now.